Hello, everybody. Bryony Zasman here, and thank you so much for joining us today. Today is ZOOMstudio Demo Day, where we're going to give you a look at ZOOMstudio, which is a platform we have been building for the promotional product industry. We're going to try to keep this to 30 minutes, so hopefully we achieve that. At the end, we will take some questions, and if you want a more in-depth demo or have questions that you'd like to ask one-on-one, reach out to us and we'd be happy to set up a time. So you can email us at hello@zoomcatalog.com, use the contact form on our website, or if you've been in contact with us, just shoot us an email. So on today's agenda, we're going to start with why we built ZOOMstudio, what it is, who uses it, and then we're going to create some content. Each demo day is a different topic that we are focused on, and today's topic is empowering distributors to create their own content. We've had a number of other awesome sessions, such as how to integrate ZOOMstudio into your website and make your website more powerful. We've focused on how to create different types of content. So if you're interested in those sessions, we have them recorded. Just reach out and we'd be happy to share. All right, so to start, I'd like to talk a little bit about why we built ZOOMstudio. We started Zoom Catalog in 2009, about 15 years ago. And when we started the company, the initial concept was to help suppliers cut back on printing and shipping catalogs by taking those catalogs, digitizing them, and creating an online library that distributors could access to find what they need. That was the beginning of the digital transformation that we saw, but things have come a long way since then. As a company, we've evolved and been working with a lot of different suppliers and distributors throughout the years. We've also seen our industry take massive shifts, especially with COVID and what that did to the supply chains and the need for more frictionless transactional interactions. And it is now imperative that suppliers look at those manual processes that they are dealing with day to day and find ways to use technology to speed things up, to make them more frictionless and to make life easier for both your team, your operational side, and for distributors. So ZOOMstudio is part of that digital transformation. When we look at how suppliers dealt with catalogs, traditionally, we see suppliers designing these catalogs in InDesign. They're taking weeks, if not months, to create. You're sourcing products, you're sitting there with a team and laying pages and layouts on the ground. And then once you have your files done, you're sending them to your printer and you're printing thousands of them or hundreds of thousands and shipping them out. And then you have no way to track them. Well, that entire process has been revolutionized, and we now can get those catalogs digitized and online. But with ZOOMstudio, we take it a step further and look at the creation and look at how you can easily create these pieces, how you can easily keep them up to date once they are published, and how you can more effectively get them to your customers and track how they're performing. So we are digitally transforming the process of asset creation, whether it's catalogs, flyers, lookbooks, or presentations. Another reason we needed to build ZOOMstudio was because of the supply chain volatility that has impacted our industry as a whole. When suppliers have their catalogs created and online, it is a great asset for distributors, but one challenge that has become very apparent is the need to keep them up to date. While the digital version is much easier to update than a print version that you cannot update, it's still challenging. You have to go into the design platform, you have to edit your pricing, you have to remember to do that, and then we can obviously keep it up to date on our end on Zoom Catalog. But we wanted to look at how we could solve that problem by connecting to product data. And you're going to hear that throughout this demo, where we are actually using your product demo or your product data to ensure that things are up to date, that distributors have access to current and accurate information, and that they can create and share with confidence, as can your team. We also are seeing changing expectations, whether it's on the end of the distributors or the end buyers. More than ever, people are shopping online. We all know this. Most likely, every one of us are making purchases on sites like Amazon. We want things to be quick, easy. We want to have visibility into that process. And with ZOOMstudio, we're helping you give distributors tools they need to better service their customers. to quickly send them presentations to ensure they're accurate and up to date, to make sure that they're not static and just some small thumbnails. So just making these the expectations of the buyers, making sure we're meeting them along the process of marketing products or completing the sale. And then, of course, there is a growing need for custom content. We've seen this from almost the beginning of Zoom Catalog. When we initially launched, suppliers were converting their print catalogs into digital, and that was what distributors would use. We quickly started getting a lot of requests from distributors who wanted to change out, at minimum, the logo on the cover of those catalogs because they wanted it to be custom for them. They wanted their branding on what they were sharing. And we actually built a platform called Zoom Custom, which is very popular in our industry today. Thousands of distributors use those catalogs every day, and it's a great way to get product information out, but they're looking for more customization. We also get requests where distributors would like to switch out some products or maybe remove some products, edit the pricing, add more of their own branding or look and feel. These things are challenging with the catalog process that exists today, even with the technology that we've provided. So with ZOOMstudio, we're able to address that and give the flexibility and control that distributors need and want to sell your products. And in this presentation, we'll show you how your team can do this for distributors, how it can be really simple for a sales rep or a designer or somebody else on your team to quickly switch out logos and maybe mark up pricing in something that has been pre-created, or giving distributors access to a library of content that they don't have to just take and use, but they can edit and alter before using it. So these were some of the things that really drove us to build ZOOMstudio. In summary, digital catalogs are amazing. We had over 6 million views of our catalogs last year alone, and that number continues to rise. But distributors want more, and suppliers are struggling to meet the demands of distributors for this content. So with ZOOMstudio, you can now service your distributors better. You not only can meet more of the demand, but you can generate demand by creating more content that you are unable to create today because it just takes so much time and so many resources. So what is ZOOMstudio? ZOOMstudio is the industry's smartest and easiest design tool, enabling you to create custom content at scale. So we already touched on most of these points, but this is a platform that we will customize and set up for your company, assuming you're here with as a supplier, that you can use in-house or give distributors access to create the content that they need. And when we say content, we mean catalogs, flyers, lookbooks, presentations, even quotes. We've seen suppliers create things we didn't expect them to in here. So the sky is the limit with these tools because it is so flexible and intuitive. So who is it for? So first and foremost, your marketing team. We know marketing teams with supplier companies are battling to keep up with the demands of the content they need to create, whether it's a full line catalog, breakout catalogs, seasonal flyers or new product flyers, presentations. There are so many different pieces that need to be created to effectively launch products and give distributors what they need to go out and sell. Of course, your sales team. Your sales team now has a way where they can quickly compile products together, share them with a distributor that can be passed on to an end user. And because ZOOMstudio is so simple, they are not wasting time dealing with trying to do special design, or they're not waiting to get a request fulfilled from a design team. They can also track it, which we'll touch on, where they can jump into a dashboard and see if the end user or the distributor actually viewed what they're clicking. So they get the insight that they otherwise wouldn't have if they're just sending a bunch of website URLs in an email. Your design team. So of course, your design team is burdened with creating this content and most likely are using platforms like InDesign or Illustrator. They are amazing platforms, but they do require a lot of time, a lot of copying and pasting. You have to worry about image resolution. There's just a lot that goes into creating a single piece. But with ZOOMstudio, we are bringing all your assets together in one place, including your products, your product images, your product information, your lifestyle shots, so that they can quickly create things using smart layouts that help keep things on brand and looking great. And then distributors, which is the focus of today's session. You can send distributors into your ZOOMstudio so they can create for themselves. They easily can come back and edit what they've created or clone to use for other clients. They can create pieces that are for specific projects or customers, or more generalized marketing pieces. So this is really going to empower your distributors. Now, I know a lot of suppliers usually say, well, distributors won't want to do that. And we do see some of that in our industry. It's just how our industry has functioned, where suppliers are expected to fulfill these requests from distributors every day. But there is a shift happening. There are new distributors coming into our industry that want to self-serve, that are okay jumping into a tool that is online, as long as it's intuitive and easy and quick, to be able to create what they need. And we're seeing more and more of it. And in fact, there are going to be, you're going to find that there are distributors that are so excited that you have a tool like this, that they come and create more content and market and sell your products more than they would without a tool like this. So more on the distributors a little later. So benefits. First, you can create and capture demand. I already touched on this. We know you're getting tons of requests. Can you send us this flyer, but switch out this product? Or do you have a lookbook for schools? Or do you have your summer products together, your best sellers for this category? Having all that stock content created is unlikely because the requests can be so diverse, but you can fulfill these requests now because it's so fast to create. And we also talk about creating demand. So because you are now so efficient in creating these pieces, you can be a little bit more proactive. You can create a book and send it out to your customers and allow them to customize it. You can reach out to a new prospect with some products you think are relevant to them. So you can create that demand as well as capture the incoming demand. You can collaborate more and make better decisions. This is another huge one. With the way that suppliers handle catalogs today, especially as we look at print, it's very difficult to measure the ROI. Are people viewing them? Are they getting thrown out? Are distributors going to pass them on to their end users? What pages are they viewing, or what products are they interested in? These types of things you'll be able to figure out with content you create in ZOOMstudio, because we have a dashboard where you can see how things are performing. You can design more without spending more. Already touched on it. You don't need to add more designers or outsource more work. You can just empower more of your team and your distributors to create what they need. And you can create content in minutes, not hours. You'll see it in a minute. We're going to jump into the tool, but what traditionally would take weeks, if not months, you can now do in minutes, if not seconds, with some of our integration options. So it's going to be much more efficient to create this content using a platform like ZOOMstudio. All right, so I'm going to jump out of our presentation and into the tool to give you guys a really quick tour. Now we're already 13 minutes in, so I'm going to try to do this fairly quickly, but if you want a more in-depth walkthrough and have more specific questions, let's do a one-on-one after the demo day. All right, so I'm in my dashboard here. Your team member will be able to log in here. We have a different, prettier entry page for your distributors, but you're simply going to go ahead and create new design. Now, you'll notice that there are not a lot of buttons and options, and this is by design. We have been working really hard to make this tool as simple as possible. We have an internal rule that it needs to be so simple that even a toddler could do it and that the output would still look good. And I think we've achieved that. So I'm going to go ahead and for this specific walkthrough, I'm going to create a really short little lookbook. So I'm going to put a product lookbook together. And when you're setting up your settings, you can choose your currency and you can switch out the logo. So I can use the company logo, or if I want to create this for a distributor, I would switch over to their logo. And we'll talk a little bit about uploads, but you can actually create an asset library and share logos with your team or specific images with distributors. There's a lot of control that you have here for sharing these assets in one place. So once I get started, you'll notice that in the middle of my screen, I have my page. And on the page, we have what we refer to as the smart layout. Smart layouts is a new technology that we created to help reduce the need for design decisions. We want the tool to make sure things look good, and all the person in here needs to do is choose the content, what products and what images they'd like. So I have a simple layout right now, just 4 products and a logo. but I can go to manage my page and check out the layout library to find a different layout that suits my needs depending on what I'm creating. So I'm going to change over the first page to a cover page since I'm making a lookbook. Now I can do a few settings here. I'll skip that for speed. And all I need to do is click on each block in the layout and add the content. So we'll add a title. And then when I go to this block, this is an image block. So when I click on it, it's going to open up the asset library. Now, we'll touch on this a little bit later, but I have a few different assets I can use. Number one, my uploads. So if I'm a distributor and I upload some images, when I come back later, I'll have access to them again. If I'm a sales rep, same thing. We also have our shared library where you guys can share assets for distributors in your team to use. And then we've also partnered with Unsplash to bring you a library of amazing stock art that are royalty free. So I can come in here and I can search for a product. And once I find one I like, I can simply pop it in there. Now, because I'm making a lookbook, when I go add a page, instead of adding a single page, I'm going to add a spread. This is going to allow me to basically build out a digital catalog. Now you'll see I get 2 pages side by side and a layout on each side. But I'm going to go ahead and actually change out my layouts to make this look a little bit more dynamic. So for the first page, I'm going to do 2 columns, half image, half product. I'm going to turn off the logo. And I'm actually going to just switch the image and the product order. So I have my image and 2 products. And then on this right side, I'm going to switch it to a single product so I can feature a product here. And I like to turn off the logo as well. So now all I need to do is click on the product slots and enter the products as well as the images. So we'll do an image real quick. We'll go back to Unsplash here. We'll search for sunglasses and we'll find an image that looks good. And then if I want to, I can reposition this a little bit. Now you'll see these other blocks here are product blocks. This is the most powerful part of the entire tool. When we get a supplier set up on ZOOMstudio, we're going to connect to your product data. We have a couple of different integration options available. Number one being promo standards. We have an API. We can even use spreadsheets. So that's a discussion we can have one-on-one with you to find out what would be the best setup to get your product data into your ZOOMstudio. Once set up, I can click to add product. And now whoever's in here is able to search across all your products. So I'm going to search for the sunglasses from PCNA, and I get all of their current results. Now, because we're hooked into their promo standards, this data is accurate, and I know I can confidently and comfortably include these products in here. I can choose a color variation if I want, and when I add it, it goes in with all the current details. So I'll add some products here, and on this page, we'll feature these rainbow sunglasses. And you'll notice that there's specific details showing up on the page. Now, this was another thing we really needed to solve. It's an issue just with catalogs in general. And that is that when you are selling a product, there's going to be a lot of information that the buyer needs, like the description, the additional colors, all the prices for the quantity breaks. But trying to cram all that information onto a page when you're trying to make things look good can get really messy. So what we've introduced is clickable products, where if somebody is viewing this piece once I publish it, we're going to show them a sidebar with all the product details so they can click on a product for additional information. So when I go into this product here, you'll see that I can choose what information shows on the page, but I can also choose what information will show in the sidebar when it is clicked by the viewer. So I can start enhancing my piece with more product data and make it a little bit more shoppable. Also, all the product information is fully editable, so I can mark up the pricing or hide certain colors. I can change the product name. Whatever it is I need to do, I can do right here. And of course, with when we get your product data, if you have additional product images per product, you can make those available. So if you wanted to maybe have a standalone image of the product and then the product on a model, you can give that option to the distributor on which shot they prefer to use. We can show you more of this one-on-one if you're interested. All right, so my layout is done. I'm going to just do one more layout or one more spread here. So again, I'm going to go to the left page and I'm going to actually use the cover page to create a nice little page break with inside of my catalog. And then on the right side, we'll stack 3 products. So here I'm going to, again, I'm going to add an image. I can upload one, use any of the images from the specific supplier, or I can go to Unsplash and find a shot that I like. We'll add a title here. And then of course I go to my products and I can search. And I can search by product, name, ID, description, whatever keywords I need, so I can find products as necessary. Choose the colors I want and quickly add them to my project. So as you can see, I can add these so quickly that it's uncomparable to doing this in InDesign or Illustrator. If you're doing this in a design platform, you're going to be copying and pasting information, researching the pricing, trying to make sure you have the right resolution product image. It's just a lot of work. So with ZOOMstudio, it's all at your fingertips and you can quickly pop it all in. And then I can keep going. I can add as many layout or spreads as I want. I can add a back page, but for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and publish my design. And that's it. So once you publish, you instantly have a link that you can now use to share your piece. This is a public URL, so whoever I share it with is going to be able to view it in their browser. They don't have to download a clunky PDF. It's mobile friendly, so they can browse it on a tablet or a phone as well. And it can be used anywhere, whether it's social posts on your website, in your email signatures, just to send directly to a customer. There's just tons of uses for these pieces that you can publish. Now, as somebody is browsing, as mentioned, they can click on a product as well to view additional information, such as the price tables, additional colors if there are any, the description, and additional product images as well. So you can see this one has some additional colors, so I can browse through those here. And the sidebar is an exciting feature because we have a lot of really cool additional things coming to this. So we'll tell you more about that on a one-on-one if you reach out. For example, we just recently added view on website, which will allow me to view it on the supplier website. And of course, that button is optional. So if a distributor does not want those links there, they can either change them to different links or hide the button altogether. So my piece is done and I can start using it and sharing it. Not only that, it's in my dashboard, so I can track it. I can see how it's performing. I can see what products people are clicking on, and I can clone it. So if I wanted to make a version for different buying groups or different distributors, I can do that as well. A little later on in this demo day, we're going to also talk about how you can publish this as an editable template. So you can create these lookbooks and catalogs and put them on your website so that distributors can go in and use them as is or make them their own. So we'll come back to that shortly. So as you can see, it's really quick and easy to create what you need. And what we've done with this tool is try to make it really smart so that the user isn't making design decisions. We do have another version of the editor that's a little bit more advanced for designers, where they get a lot more control, where they can place things anywhere they want. So if you get ZOOMstudio, you'll have access to that as well. But Smart Layouts really is where it's at, because we are trying to make things simple and easy while ensuring the output looks awesome. So as you can imagine, any distributor would be able to come in here and create what they need. So that's our quick tour. I could show you how to make presentations and everything if we have more time, but reach out and we can do that together. So our focus for today is how you can use ZOOMstudio to empower your distributors to create their own lookbooks, flyers, presentations, and more. We've already touched on a lot of this, but I have a few more points that I'd like to mention. We are at the 24-minute mark. We might run over a little bit, but I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. So why would you do this? Why would you give ZOOMstudio to your distributors? Well, of course, it empowers them to sell your products. If they are choosing to sell your products versus another supplier, and they can create a beautiful lookbook within seconds or minutes with your tools, they're likely going to be selling your products. The tools are really intuitive. We've actually done a few iterations of the tool to make it easier and easier, which we continue to do. They are simple. We know our industry needs simple, and that's the goal. Also, the pieces are easy to update and edit. If you send a distributor a PDF that you created, they can't edit it. It's static, and it's also going to require you have to going back in and editing it if they need changes. These pieces can be cloned, edited, and managed all within the dashboard. You get the tracking and insights. Honestly, when we talk to suppliers about how they're presenting their pieces, whether they're using PDFs for flyers, or if they're just pasting links from their website into an email, most don't have a dedicated process for presentations, for example. So they don't really know what's being sent, how that looks to the distributor, if they're going to the end user, if they're clicking, what products they're interested in. And in this day and age, we really should be gathering that data. So with ZOOMstudio, you now have a single tool to streamline the process, track what's happening, assess what's happening, and make better decisions. Also, as you saw, this is sharing made simple. The distributor gets a link and they can share it. And they can share it on with their end user if they need to as well. We're not asking them to download a heavy PDF, which our industry seems to have an affinity for. We're trying to break that dependence on PDFs. So they can take a link, paste it in an email, and send it off rather than attaching a giant PDF. And then, of course, the most important thing is that the pieces are accurate and up to date. Your product data is going to be at the heart of your ZOOMstudio, and ensuring that when products are added, those products are available, that the pricing is accurate, that the colors are available. So the data is going to allow everybody to create and share with confidence. Last demo day, we did a full presentation about integrating ZOOMstudio on your website. So I'm going to go over this really quickly, but if you want to dive deeper into it, let us know and we can send you that recording. But you can add ZOOMstudio to your website in 2 different ways. The most simple is just by adding the link. So we'll set up your studio. You'll maybe create a landing page. You can see an example of Gold Bond. This is an entire landing page dedicated to ZOOMstudio, allowing some distributor to find it and go in and use it. If you have the capability, we do recommend using our APIs to integrate ZOOMstudio into your website. There's so many cool things you can do with this. With the API, users can actually create presentations and lookbooks with a single click. So for example, if you have a category on your website of your best sellers, you could use our API to allow users to click and instantly have all those products added to a presentation for them that's customized with their branding, so they can share it without doing anything else, or if they want, they can go edit. Another example is if you have a wish lists or a favorites tool, you could put the API there, which with that would allow your website visitor to click and have the products they've compiled instantly be placed into a presentation. They get the link, they can share, or click edit to go into the ZOOMstudio to make changes. So really, really cool ways to integrate this in many different parts of your website. For more details on this, let us know. We'll get you the recording, or we can meet one-on-one. So I already kind of established this, but just to show you a quick example, with Zoom Catalog, we actually have quite a few different tools to help you empower or enable your website with content. You can see on the PCNA website, they have their tools and services, and they have their customizable catalogs and their sales flyers. So you could set up a page like this and create content that users can easily customize and view right from your website, or click to go create their own. You can do this with Zoom Custom, which is another tool we have, or you can do it with ZOOMstudio and create editable templates, which I'm going to touch on a little bit later. All right, so a few points, and I'm not going to get deep into this because I feel like we've covered it, but you're allowing distributors to create content on demand. They no longer have to send the request on you and wait days for it to get to the designer, get back to the sales rep, and then back to them. They get what they need when they need it. They can do branded marketing materials. You can also create those editable templates. So just to show you an example, before this demo, I set up this summer styles flyer with a nice banner, some products, and some nice images. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually go ahead and turn this into an editable template. So I just toggle this on. And what that means is when I go get the link, when I publish it, I can share it with distributors who can click on that link to edit it as their own. So they can each get their own version. They can switch out products. They can replace the logo. They can edit market pricing. So you can create a library of lookbooks and flyers and other content and allow the distributors to quickly customize as they need. Also great for your team. A sales rep can quickly go customize the best seller's flyer for the distributor or something like that. So there's tons of use cases for these editable templates, and it's very simple to publish your pieces in a way that allows others to edit them. And then we touched on the asset library. So we know one of the biggest challenges for designers in our industry when they're creating these flyers and catalogs is asset sprawl. You guys have tons of great lifestyle shots, photography, brand assets, logos, and they're generally not very organized in one place or easy to find. But with ZOOMstudio, you can go manage them all inside of the dashboard. So you'll go to, you'll go to library here and get into your asset library where you can upload as many assets as you want. You can also edit them if you need to as well. So you can go here and rename them, set permissions. It's another thing. So you can have a library of images that only your team sees, like distributor logos, versus what distributors can see. So really awesome tool here. Another one that we'd be happy to do a little bit more in-depth walkthrough on a one-on-one. So you're bringing all your assets together, you're creating customizable templates, and you're also giving distributors the ability to create whatever they need, whenever they need it. So that's my quick walkthrough. Again, ZOOMstudio is an amazing tool. There's lots of different use cases as demonstrated today. You can empower your distributors, which is going to take a workload off of your team and likely generate more demand, ensure that distributors are easily marketing and selling your products. And getting set up on ZOOMstudio is simple as connecting your data and going live. We really take all the work off of you guys on that. So if you're interested in how the setup would work, again, reach out and we can talk through that. All right, it's 11:32 here in Colorado, so we're 2 minutes over my goal time, but we'll take a couple minutes to take any questions that you guys have. So please go ahead and type them in the chat box or the Q&A box. So somebody asked if there's a maximum amount of content pieces we can have live in our account. No, we do not have any limits, at least not right now. So with our current pricing plan, you can create as much content as you want. Your distributors can create as much as they want. We likely will eventually move over to a more tiered model, but not in the near future on that. So no, you won't have limits. Also, assets are unlimited, so you can have as many lifestyle shots, brand logos, all of that in there as well. So yes, you can create content all year as much as you need. Somebody asked if this tool can be integrated into an existing website. Absolutely. So I did have that quick slide. I kind of went through it really quickly, but you can integrate this onto your website in a couple different ways. We have the really easy way, which is just linking, or we have the APIs, which are extremely powerful. So if that interests you, definitely ask for our recording. We'd love for you to see what all you can do with our APIs for ZOOMstudio. So it makes it really seamless, as your question asks, and the ZOOMstudio is branded for your company. You can also implement our single sign-on, so they can be required to sign into your website in order to get into the tools, access their content, upload their logos, etc. So lots of really cool tools around the integration. Pricing, that's of course a great question. So pricing is going to be dependent on how many SKUs you have. There's going to be a one-time integration fee and then an annual service fee. So if you want us to get, want pricing from us, just reach out and we can chat about your specific company and your products, and we can give you a quote. How do we get the product data in here? So we have 3 standard integration options. So number 1 is promo standards. About 50% of our suppliers are using promo standards to power their ZOOMstudio, and it's a really simple way to get up and running. We also have an API, which you can implement to push your product data to us. And then the last is spreadsheets. So if neither of those are a feasible option, we can use your spreadsheets. Of course, we would want you to send them to us on a more regular basis to ensure that we can keep it as up to date as possible. And then if none of those options suit you, we do have custom integration option where we can talk about your data and figure out if maybe we need to pull the data from your side or what that's going to look like. So happy to discuss integration options with anybody that is interested. Can we add logos to products? This is the question. We generally don't get through a demo without it, and it's a wonderful question, especially right now. So for those of you that were familiar with our ZOOMstudio that we launched a while back, you know that you can easily add logos to products. We are currently in the middle of building out the functionality for the smart layouts that I demoed today, but we're going to make it extremely simple for users where the logo will simply go onto all products. Of course, as a supplier, you'll have to manage your imprint areas and stuff in the back end, but we're going to make those tools really simple. So yes, and we have a really cool, the really cool functionality for that. So if you've seen the tools before, you've probably seen how our tool does locate imprint area. It does adjust the logo to look like it's embroidered or embossed or whatever logo imprinting method it is. So we're going to be bringing in a lot of that functionality to smart layouts, but with a much more simple, intuitive back end to it. So the answer is very soon. We're getting there. All right. So I don't see any other questions. Hold on, let me just see over here. No, okay, perfect. All right, so thank you for joining us today. As mentioned, we're happy to send any previous recordings of demo days that were on other topics. We actually, let me jump back over here. We hope you can join a future session. We have 2 planned right now. February 7th, we're going to be talking and explaining how you can create lookbooks and catalogs. And then February 21st, we're going to be reviewing how to use the smart layouts and templates to create more dynamic content. And then we'll have other sessions coming up. This is an ongoing demo that we will be hosting throughout the year. We'd love you to join all if you can. If you can't, we can send you the recording. But we really appreciate you joining us today. Reach out if there's any questions, and we hope to hear from you soon and also help you create more content at scale with ZOOMstudio. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.